Hi guys, Victoria Husit here, and today let's talk about rent stabilization ordinance. What does it mean? What it is? What property goes under rent stabilization ordinance? And as a landlord, what are your obligations? What are pluses? What are the minuses? How much is the fee? Yes, there is a fee involved. What are the rent increases? Is it under rent control or there is other rules? Let's look into it. But before we do, please press that subscribe button. What is the RSO ordinance and what property applies under RSO? Generally, RSO applies to rental properties that are built before October 1st, 1978. And it can be apartment, condominium, townhomes, duplex. Two or more single-family dwellings, unit on the same parcels, rooms in a hotel, motel, and even mobile homes in mobile parks. Also, residential units attached to commercial building. And RSO covers allowable rent increases, registration of rental units, legal reasons for evictions, type of evictions, and disclosure notices for cash for keys or buyout agreements. Is your property is RSO property? So here it is, RSO property search. Zone information map access system. In a system that displays zoning information of parcel within the city of Los Angeles. After entering the property information on ZIMAS under housing, rent stabilization ordinance fields will indicate yes or no. And on the picture it shows right here, it's gonna say, is it rent stabilization ordinance applies to your property or not? And if you do this exercise, I believe you can click here. And here is address. So let's, for example, try and let's do my work address. It gives you a map, it gives you everything. So let's see, housing, jurisdiction. So you see it says rent stabilization ordinance and it says no. So this is my work address. It's a commercial building, so it should say no, and it does. But I just wanted to show you an example. How do you do it? Now let's go back to here, and if it says yes to your residential rental property, please come back to this website, fill out a certification, pay your small fee, and just be compliant. Important as of right now at this point is the rent evictions, rent moratorium, and rent increases. Due to COVID-19, there is a new regulations where we as a landlord, we cannot increase rents more than certain percentage. Rent may be increased once every 12 months by the allowable rent increases. The landlord can add an additional 1% per utility paid by the landlord. So if the landlord pays gas or electricity, you can add additional 1%. But let's see what is allowable rent increase. Big question always with the rental units, how much you can increase rent. And there is no really short answer or quick answer. The answer is depends. So let's look what it depends on. Currently, the calculated annual increase percentage effective July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020 is 4%. Then if you as a landlord paying for gas or paying for electricity, then additional percent is allowable. But there is additional percentage. Like for example, you can increase 19% plus 2% if the landlord provides the gas and electricity for a rental unit which had not had a rent increase since May 31st, 1976. You have a record and you can prove that there was no increase since 1976, then you can increase 19%. if you haven't not been any increases since May 1977, you can increase by 13%. And then you can do additional increases of 10% for each additional tenant exceeding the number of tenants allowed by the original rental agreement. Also, this bulletin provides interesting information regarding how much was allowable rent increases throughout the years, and for majority of the years it's mostly 3%. Guys, I want to show you 2020 annual rent registry form, the one that you need to fill out. You can fill out it online, or you can fill out on paper and mail it back. So I covered the names and the property address, which is here on top. And then let's look. There is part 1 where it's emergency contact information. You would put whoever's emergency contact information for this specific property, and probably maybe your name if you're filling it up, or it's possibly going to be the same name in both parts. Now let's look at the back side of this page. Blah, 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 blah. So this is the second page or back side of the first page, and I bent it over because it has pre-printed information, but basically it has blocks, empty blocks, where you would fill out information. So just for example, for the purpose of this exercise, I filled out, you would put your street number, your street name, your unit number, how many bedrooms, when was the move-in date, and it's months in a year. So we in September, I put September 2020. Effective date of a last increase. If it's a new property and you haven't done an increase, you can skip it. Sometimes I notice that when I do it online, it doesn't let me skip. So I just put a move-in date if there is no, it's a first year property. But you're gonna fill out it every year. And when it's a second year and you did had an increase, you would do, what months of increase. But for now it's September. And then it's a current monthly rate. I put $1,500 just for the purpose of this example. Second question is utility paid by landlord. Electricity usually paid by tenants. So you don't do, but if you do pay utilities, you will mark what you pay here. Is parking included? Now, this one, if you want to file an exemption, if property is staying vacant, you will mark this one. And if there is any other RSO exemption, you will mark here. And if your property temporary vacant or it's employee unit, you use it for work, you will mark here. All this allows you to receive exemptions, and exemption is for 1 year. And that's it. This is the end of it. You sign it in the end, you put your date, and you mailing it back. Blah, 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 blah. Let's look at the fees. Fees are very important because original fee is not that much, but once it becomes delinquent, it's actually almost doubles. So you see the regular fee is $38.75, but once it becomes delinquent, it's plus $58.13. So then you will have to pay almost $100. It's worth paying it on time. RSL fees. And if you want to look into temporary exemption certificates, it's all on your forms again that you received. And as I said, the exemption period is for 1 year. And if it's owner occupied exemptions is limited to only 1 unit per owner. No rent collected. You will have to get an authorized statement saying that no rent collected, because the unit will be used for storage or living purposes, and no rent will be collected for a whole year. And boarded, vacant, and secured, it's again for 1 year, and again you will have to get an authorized statement and forward it to a county. And if you're not gonna use the unit for a whole year.